Federal drug crimes are serious cases. Anything in federal court is going to be a serious charge. Federal drug crimes happen, usually they come after a pretty lengthy and complex investigation. It's not like, say, a traffic stop by local police where some drugs are found in the car. That's likely going to be in state court. That's going to be a state drug charge, unless it's a massive amount of drugs that they find in the car. Usually, if you're indicted in federal court on a drug crime, it has come after a lengthy and complex investigation by law enforcement. The government takes its time, months in some cases, to build its case, and they will use all kinds of ways to build their case before even bringing charges forward. They'll use surveillance, wiretaps on your phone, video to monitor people's activity, confidential informants. They'll use these sometimes for months to track their subjects, and they build their case and they gather all this evidence. Law enforcement takes that, federal drug law enforcement, they turn it over to the federal prosecutors in the U.S. Attorney's Office, who in turn submit it to a grand jury, and they get an indictment. And if your name is on that indictment, you're now charged in federal court on a drug case. So there's usually been some kind of investigation going on for some time where they are building their case. So if you're charged, if you have a federal drug crime, you've been indicted, then it's a very serious situation that you're in. What are your options? You could fight it, of course. You're presumed innocent. You always plead not guilty at the start of the case, and you can maintain that not guilty plea and go to trial. That is your right. Realistically, not many people beat federal drug crimes because, like I said, they have spent months laying the groundwork, laying a foundation on this case. They've probably got a pretty good case against you. If you're going to beat it, you need to look at every aspect of the case from start to finish. Perhaps there is a probable cause issue. If they got, say, a wiretap to listen to your phone calls, you could look at that affidavit for the wiretap, because that's considered a search. They've got to have legal grounds. They've got to have probable cause. If there's a weakness in there, and if you could successfully fight that and get that thrown out, you could argue perhaps that your involvement was not as great, that you didn't have the intent. They have to prove that you knowingly and unlawfully possessed or distributed narcotics, and if you could show that you didn't have the intent, that might be one way as well. But like I said, it's few and far between the cases that you're going to successfully beat, that you're going to actually take to trial in federal court on a drug case and flat out beat it. A better option, or a more common option at least, is working out a plea bargain, basically. Now in federal court, we typically don't do plea bargains in state court where it's, plead guilty and you get 3 years, or you get 5 years or whatever. It doesn't work that way in federal court. First of all, in federal court, we use months and not years. That's just the way that the federal sentencing guidelines are crafted. So if, instead of 4 years, we say 48 months. So how many months might you get if you wanted to strike a plea bargain and change your plea? It depends. It's complex. That for sentencing and how much time you get, you have to delve into the federal sentencing guidelines, and that is a complex document, a complex set of rules and regulations that govern each case, each criminal indictment in federal court. There are all kinds of factors that have to be analyzed. You start off with what's called your base offense level. That is, for whatever you're charged with, the base offense level is about an average range of punishment you might be looking at. Now in federal, like in a drug case, that's going to depend on the type of drug and the amount or the weight. So if it's a large quantity of drugs, then you're going to be looking at more time. Okay? But you figure out, you get an estimate on your base offense level. But then you go to other factors which can enhance or decrease that offense level or that range of punishment. And you have to look at all those. And those are done on a case-by-case basis. It's very individual. It's very personalized for you and your situation. As your attorney, I want to know all about you, about your background, what what factors, what's going on in your life, what led you to this part in your life to do this. And there could be things that can be presented to the judge in sentencing to get you a lesser sentence based on your background, your upbringing, your education, work history, your standing in the community, okay, family support. Those things can help. Those things can and should be presented to the judge in sentencing. But like I said, there could also be enhancing factors. There could be bad things involved. If you had a gun, that's bad news. If you had a gun, if somebody was hurt in the course of this crime, there are different factors that can also increase your sentence potentially. Another thing you need to know when it comes to sentencing is criminal history. If you have prior charges in any state, because in federal court they're going to be looking at other states. Doesn't matter how far back. Well, actually, it does matter. It can in some situations matter how far back, but anything on your background can be fair game, and this is applied to what's called your criminal history points. If you accumulate more criminal history points, you get a higher sentence. You get more time. So we need to know that as well. If you have prior convictions, okay, if you've been on probation or violated probation, we need to know all those things. So that is kind of just an overview of what you might expect if you're being prosecuted on a federal drug crime. These are serious cases. These are complex cases. You need somebody who knows federal laws, especially those tricky federal sentencing guidelines. You need a good lawyer on your side. Give me a call.